Satish Kumar was born in India, and at a very early age, at the age of 8, he consciously decided to become a Jain monk. Now, the Jain tradition will be familiar to some of our listeners, probably from the image of very pure-minded people who have such respect for the idea of non-violence to everything that they sometimes wear masks on their face to prevent them from killing insects. That's how far they take it. Wow. Mahavir, who was their original inspiration, lived around the time of the Buddha. So Jainism is within the Hindu tradition, or within the Indian tradition, very close to the Buddhist tradition, but they really take the idea of nonviolence very, very seriously. So here's a boy, imagine, Lance, 8 years old, says to his mother, "Mom, I'm going to become a Jain monk, and that's how I'm going to live, and that's how I'm going to die." Wow. Now, this is a serious thing to say when you're 8 years old. And we actually had a long dialogue, which ended up as a book in Japan and in English, called EARTH Pilgrim, in which he shows how his mother was his first great spiritual teacher, because she said to him, "Imagine yourself being the mother, Lance." She said, "Oh, wonderful, my son. I'm so happy for you. Please leave me now."
Wow. Wow.
He left her and became a wandering mendicant monk, moving from village to village. His life was reading the scriptures, meditating, and receiving alms from people until the age of 18. Now, at that time, he met one of the great master Gandhi's disciples. And this disciple, who was working in Gandhi's ashrams, this would be probably in the 60s, early 60s maybe? No, 50s. He said, "You monks are a waste of time. You sit around meditating all day and you think you're so spiritual and evolved. We're out there with society helping the poor people. We're walking our talk and you're just meditating. You're not doing anything." And Satish got such a shock that he was forced to consider his position. And being a very intelligent and awake young person, he made the incredible decision, the very hard decision, to throw away his life as a monk and become a Gandhian ashram participant and an activist, which led to a pilgrimage with no money that he walked from India all the way to London. Imagine that.
Wow. I can't even walk to the mailbox. You know, these are truly miraculous and inspirational people that we just don't hear enough about. We're so bombarded with the news and the false, dualistic, old paradigm stuff that's passing away, and that's just clinging to a dying world. And these wonderful people and yourself on your film all seem to agree with that. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Well, I wanted to have people in this film who actually understood the ramifications of what a pilgrim means, but not just from a single religious tradition, because I wanted to expand on the meaning of pilgrim. That's why Nassim was specifically chosen to show us how the solar system is actually on a pilgrimage. I mean, how many people listening right now understand the absolute scientific fact that we are now hurtling forward at over 1 million kilometers an hour through space?
Yeah.
We're not just going around the sun. The entire solar system is moving forward at approximately 1 million kilometers an hour on a massive arc through the galaxy. Yeah. And so we are transiting areas of the galaxy that we haven't transited as Homo sapiens before. We're going into uncharted territory. We're like on a ship that on a voyage going into uncharted territory, and we're all sitting here thinking we've got it all figured out, and they were nicely spinning around in circles around the sun in a fixed position, which is complete nonsense. We're still told fools, right?
Yes. That's just so wonderful because, like I said, when I saw Nassim's explanation in that video, I really got it, that everything is just hurtling at an enormous rate into the unknown. And, of course, we're afraid of the unknown, but we are in uncharted territory. And according to various cosmologies, Mayan and others, sometime around 2012, we're going to actually be in the middle of the galactic plane, which is a huge spaceship-like affair, and we'll be passing into the other side of it. So we don't even know what we're going to be seeing or experiencing at that time. And now,
we have no idea. And that's why there are many, many, many theories about 2012, and I have actually expounded on a lot of them in Japanese, because 2012 is a metaphor in my mind. It is a trigger that should be getting our attention, just as you said, seeing that one image that we created, that Luke Hancock created. The whole purpose of Nassim being there was to show everybody that one image. If you can get that one image, hey, you're moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour, buddy, and you don't know where you're going next. Nobody knows. NASA doesn't know. The Pope doesn't know. Nobody knows here. And so when nobody knows what the uncharted territory ahead means, who is the kind of spiritual person who is going to be in the strongest position to navigate such a journey is the pilgrim. Because the pilgrim has always done that. Uncharted territory is their life, the moment, each step. So if we can all embody that feeling without getting hooked up on anybody's specific theory, just the idea that we're all spiritual pilgrims on a pilgrim planet in a pilgrim solar system. And if we want to fractally expand that, we're in a pilgrim galaxy too, which is also transiting the larger universe. So if this is not a pilgrimage, what is?
Well, some people have referred to this as Spaceship Earth, and isn't it unusual that America was founded by the Pilgrims?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I mean, as above, so below.
That's right.
You know, I have to mention too that Graham Hancock was wonderful to see in the film. He's going to be on the show in a couple of months, so I have to say something about him. And he's come out with an amazing book that I'll be reading for that show called Entangled, and it looks like an amazing thriller. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Sublime synchronicity. I just contacted Graham a couple of hours ago. He's right near me in Canada right now.
Oh.
He's giving a talk in a small town in British Columbia right now called Salmon Arm, which is about 5 hours drive from here. And after that, he's going to commence his American roadshow to publicize the book that you've just talked about, Entangled. Oh, and yes. Entangled is his first novel. Wow. And we've both got a very interesting conspiracy of similar themes going on with us. If I may share with you all how we met, it might help to understand why he's in the film.
Oh, yes, please do.
Well, in 1995, I was at Chichen Itza in the Yucatan Peninsula, which many people will be familiar with as the Toltec Pyramid, where on the equinoxes, a very unusual combination of light and shadow from the sun as its rays strike the pyramid's steps. A series of isosceles triangles make it look like a snake is descending from the top of the pyramid to the ground. And this is called the Kukulkan, the cosmic serpent. Wisdom, energy, universal power all come from heaven to earth. On that day, I was sitting with about 20,000 people right at the front, and I was doing a simple ceremony with a group of Japanese people. to honor, to celebrate this incredible time. And years later, I pick up a book called Heaven's Mirror, which Graham and his wife Santha put together, a wonderful look at the as above, so below correlations all through our Earth's cultures. And lo and behold, there is me and my wife with a group of Japanese in the picture and the pyramid behind.
Oh.
So you don't have to be a brain surgeon to figure out that Graham and Santa were standing right behind us. And at that point in 1995, he had just come out with Fingerprints of the Gods, which was the book that brought ancient archaeology, in my mind, what is called ancient archaeology. No, not ancient archaeology. There are other terms that we could use that are much more, for his work, I think, appropriate. A reinterpretation of ancient archaeology, let's say.
Right.
I had read that book and I thought, this man has created a new genre. And I immediately wanted to get that book translated into Japanese. Cut a long story short, he was coming to Japan in 2005 to be on a very big television show that I was on, during which the pyramids and the underwater ruins of Yonaguni in Okinawa would be discussed. And so I got in touch with him, and I said, Graham, Japanese television will probably trash everything you have to say. And they did. They made light of his incredible research, in my mind. They tried to poo-pie it. And they had the local archaeologists, specialists on the show who were saying, nah. We didn't have really ancient civilizations like that. So that began a friendship. And I decided that we would have to have his work more properly introduced to the Japanese. I organized a lecture series for him in Japan. And as a result, we wrote a book together. We made a DVD together. We became good friends. And his son ended up being the editor of EARTH Pilgrims. So now he's just down the road, and I'll be seeing him on Monday.
Oh, my goodness. Well, be sure and say hello to him and remind him that he's going to do my show, too.
I will indeed.
My goodness.
We'll tell him that you've said that about Entangled, which I have, of course, read. And it is a wonderful, multi-dimensional story that takes the core ideas of shamanism, altered states of consciousness, and time entanglement, what physicists would now call quantum entanglement. It takes all that into a really thrilling story, an amazing drama about evil in our world, and the battle against evil that we're all faced with. Mm-hmm. You said yourself earlier, Lance, seems so dark now, seems that there's so little hope. It really does seem that we have some kind of an evil amoeba on this planet.
Yes.
And, somebody once famously said, when you start saying that evil doesn't exist and that there's no such thing as evil, that's when you got to start in a bit more seriously.
Yes, absolutely. I used to think that way, but not anymore.
No, we have serious problems on Spaceship Earth.
Absolutely, very serious, and they're much larger than any of us can imagine, probably.
They're spiritual in nature, and that's what we refuse dogmatically to face, because we have been slammed into a materialistic trance over the last 150 years, to the extent that I think we are on a very, very precarious balance here, truly believing that we are material beings only, and that science has the answer to the so-called non-material aspect, which is ludicrous. Both Graham and I have constantly said, where is the definition for consciousness? Mm-hmm. Where is the definition for consciousness in science? It doesn't exist, because science cannot define consciousness.
Oh, absolutely.
And never will be able to define consciousness in scientific terms.
Right.
And consciousness is described as an epiphenomenon, something that happens because you got a brain, and yet